This is CEO Dara Khosrowshahi, Uber's CEO, on the Q3 third quarter revenue miss. I missed it a bit. And the company outlook. Let's jump in. I hope the volume is good enough.
Missing Wall Street revenue estimates in the third quarter, reporting an 18% drop in sales year over year. But on the earnings call, CEO Dara Khosrowshahi said the company is seeing early signs that it's
way higher than that right now.
Will fully recover from the coronavirus pandemic. There is so much to talk to the CEO of Uber about. Joining us right now is Dara Khosrowshahi, Uber's CEO. Dara, great to see you.
There's the villain. The villain.
Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about these numbers. Jim loves you. I hope you heard. He's a fan.
Jim loves you.
I did.
We don't love you.
I'll take any fans I can take, especially Jim.
Yeah, I'll take any fans. You're right, because you don't have any fans.
The mobility business can come back because we've even been looking at the employment numbers, for example, as one indicator.
It really is impossible to tell, and it's entirely dependent on the health situation on the ground. But what we're seeing is with markets that are opening up faster one way or the other, whether because of the health situation or the society, things are coming back. So, for example, we looked in New York City. New York City's done a phenomenal job of keeping counts down relative to the rest of the country. And in just October, for example, our volumes in New York City were 63% of pre-pandemic levels, which is materially higher than they were in the rest of the nation. And you've got use cases such as weekday use cases of the service outside of commute that are back to actually pre-pandemic levels or higher. The engagement level of users who are back with the site is actually higher than it was last year. So as cities open up, Uber opens up as well. We think that actually we can be a beneficiary of certain trends that we're seeing. But again, to predict it is a fool's errand at this point.
Speak to the issue, though, of market share, because one of the things that investors and analysts have been looking at is the idea that in cities that have been decimated by the virus, that potentially competition may get better for you in that you're going to gain share ultimately.
You know, right now, so I think that could well be a hypothesis. We're the leader all around the world. We've got the best balance sheet out there. I think that we have invested in safety in a way as far as like digital mask verification, the no mask, no ride campaign that we're out there. So I think people are feeling safer using Uber. Our reliability and predictability is absolutely unrivaled. I will tell you that while we look at share, and we always want to make sure that we're competitive with share, really what we focus on is the reliability of the service, the safety of our drivers, and hopefully coming back as the health situation improves. On the Uber Eats side, it's an entirely different story where the business continues to grow at unprecedented rates. Revenues almost tripled year on year, and that business continues to accelerate.
Okay, so Dara, when you look at a timeline of the next 12 months, both on the mobility side, and I assume that you guys are having meetings trying to factor in what happens if and when there's a vaccine, when there are therapeutics, different forms of new testing, what the mobility side of the business looks like, but also on the other end, what the Uber Eats business looks like, and frankly, how sustainable that growth may or may not be in hopefully a world where people do go back to work full time.
Yeah, we do look at it, and what we do see, and this is one of the benefits of our having a truly global business. We've got businesses not just in the U.S., in Europe, Latin America, et cetera, is that there's a pretty consistent improvement in terms of the mobility business as you go month to month to month. Within that steady improvement, there are all sorts of kind of ups and downs. You know, Hong Kong has had some openings and closings. Obviously, Europe is now going through another shutdown. U.S. case counts move up. So the individual curves are not smooth. But when you look at our global portfolio, it smooths out, and we're seeing kind of month-to-month improvements. So, for example, if you look at our last quarter, overall mobility gross bookings were down 50%. In September, the last month, they're down only 44%. So you just see this kind of consistent improvement. We think the consistent improvement will continue into next year, and we think a vaccine could slope of that improvement.
Right.
When we look at eats,
in terms of
see some great trends, right?
Impressive library in the back.
Monthly actives on eats are up 70% on a year-on-year basis. Trips are up 110% on a year-on-year basis. New orders per eater, basket sizes, all of these trends are up double digits. And we've taken a look at each performance in markets that are opening up relative to markets that are not opening up. New York City, again, as an example, and we haven't seen any kind of performance degradation in eats in markets that are opening up. What that suggests to us is that there's a whole new class of consumer that's experiencing like the delight of being able to pick anything, have it delivered within 25, 30 minutes and eat what you want, how you want it. So it looks like the eats business is sticky. I wouldn't count on the kind of growth rates that we're having now post-pandemic, but I do think that you're going to have big growth rates off of a much larger base as a result of everything that's happening.
So that's that. That was a good interview. Shout out to my sponsor, Cover, Kover. It's a gig protection plan for the industry. So if you're an Uber driver or a Lyft driver or a Postmates food delivery driver, you got to go out and get yourself a gig protection plan. What does that mean? So for $7 a month, you're basically protected, and protected in many ways. If you get into an accident, your car's in the body shop, you end up in the hospital, they kick in, cover up to 80% of your lost earnings. If any of the companies wrongfully terminate you or deactivate you over a false rider report, they have a legal arm called Rideshare.com in Chicago that sends out the legal letters to Uber or Lyft or any of the other companies and gets you back into the seat. They have 24/7 health service, paid time off, sick leave, automatic mileage tracking. I mean, the amount of protections built in for $7 plus a month are absolutely worth it. And you get a free month if you use my link below. Now, if you do get into a serious injury, this can happen, God forbid, I hope it never does. But if you get into a serious car accident or collision, you are injured, your riders are injured, then you want to make sure that you have a good legal rideshare company on your side, and that is legalrideshare.com in Chicago. They will go after all the hospital fees, your injury fees. They will go after all the lost wages that you've lost because you've been out of the game maybe for months. If your car is total or has major damage, they will handle the entire insurance claim for you. Very, very important to immediately go and see a doctor and get a doctor report. As Brian Greening said in our interview, that is like step number one. But just hit them up at legalrideshare.com, ask the questions. You may have had a recent accident or a past injury. Just find out if you could still collect on this. Have a great day, and please feel free to comment. Thank you.